What is up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be going over the top questions people ask me on how to bulk. Any questions I get towards bulking, I've kind of compiled into like a top 10. I'm going to be going over all of them today so you have them in a concise area, pretty much based off my experience rather than just purely science-based stuff. It's everything I've done and learned from my mistakes throughout the years, so you guys can learn from what I've done right and done wrong and hopefully learn faster than I did. First question is always, how do I know when to bulk? And I find this such a funny question people ask me because I have no fucking clue when people should bulk. It's very like situation dependent, person dependent, and goal dependent. But as a whole, I would say, obviously if your goal is to put on muscle, you should bulk. And if you're not fat, you can bulk. And fat is obviously very different to the average person, but if you're unhappy with the level of body fat you're at, that's super important. I don't think you should bulk yet. Come down to a body fat that you're happier with, maybe a little bit below even, and then work your way back up. But as a general rule of thumb, I like to be like around 12% body fat for men, maybe 18 to 20 for women, but having visible abs for men specifically, it's easier to gauge. So if my abs are still poking through a little bit, then I'm good to go, and I know I haven't bulked too far, or I'm good to bulk. Next question, tail off that last one, is how do I know when to stop bulking? And similar to when you know if you should bulk, if you start to lose your abs or if you get too much of a high body fat percentage, I always struggle to say that, I got it that time, then you know it's time to slow down. There's a few other things, like when your appetite is absolutely like in the shitter, like you can't eat at all, it'll be tough to eat when you're bulking really hard. When it's completely gone, sometimes you need to take a step back. If your lifts in the gym are plateauing, if your weight is stagnating, all these different things, it's kind of time to give your body a little bit of a break, whether it be for a week or a full cut. It kind of depends on your goals and situation, of course. But again, big thing is if you have some abs, you're still happy with how you look, you're not too fat yet, then you can keep pushing that way. All right, so how to start? How to start your base calories, macros, meal plan, whatever it may be. The simplest thing that everybody needs to do, and this is Justin's quote, is he always says, what isn't measured isn't managed. So the more you measure, the more you can manage, the more you can adapt, and you know what changes you're making are causing the changes in your body. So the most important step of starting anyone's fitness journey really is tracking everything you eat consistently and calculate the calories and macros on that. Maybe do it for a week, take the average and see what it is, and weigh yourself during all those days as well. So if I'm 250 pounds, I'm eating 4,000 calories every single day, then my base to maintain 250 pounds is 4,000 calories. So if I want to lose weight, I'll go under that. If I want to gain weight, I'll go over that. Typically, you'll increase by like 5 to 10, probably like 5%, I would say. I usually go on more so like 300 to 500 calorie increase when I start a bulk. So if I'm resting at 4,000, I'll go up to 4,500. And then from there, you count your macros through that. Obviously, most important if you're trying to bulk, put on muscle, is protein. And you don't need quite as much protein when you're bulking because carbs are actually protein sparing. When you're really low carb, your body is going to use protein for energy. Whereas when you're really high carb, you have all the carbs used for energy, so your body uses the protein to build muscle. Therefore, they help you spare protein. So when you're in that low carb deficit, your body's pulling from your protein source in order to make energy, not just rebuild. You need to add more protein to make sure that you're actually rebuilding properly as well as getting the energy from it. So I stick to a minimum of 1 gram per pound of body weight. Everyone knows that number. It's so simple, just stick to it, make sure you're at least hitting that, and that's what you prioritize. So then you take that. I'm 250 pounds, that's 250 grams of protein with 4 calories for every gram of protein. So multiply that by 4, you're already at 1,000 calories. And then if I'm trying to hit 4,000 calories total, then I'm going to take 20 to 30% of that total caloric intake and make that into fat. And then so whatever that is in fat, I'm not that quick at math, what is that? 20% of 4,000, 200, 800. Quick math. So that would be 800 calories for me in fat. So then I have 1,000 calories of protein, 800 calories of fat, and then I just fill the rest with carbs. And then there's your macros right there. That's literally how simple it is. And the most important thing is to continue to track going forward. Make sure those are hidden with right and track your body weight. Look at yourself in the mirror, monitor your lifts. If things are moving in the direction you're happy with, just keep doing it. That's what's important. If you start to lose weight or you're not gaining weight fast enough, you add a little bit more calories and then you keep those ratios the exact same. You can play with that. A lot of people do better with higher carb or higher fat, and you kind of rotate through. Typically, most people do that 20 to 30% fat. That's what's worked best for me. I enjoy eating a lot of carbs and not crazy amounts of fat. But also, as I get to the end of my bulk and I'm eating like 6,000 calories, I'll start to just cover things in olive oil just because I need anything to get those calories in. So Obviously, there's a place to start, but the number one thing in being successful at anything is knowing that you're not stuck between these confines. If it works for you, it works for you. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if someone else tells you what to do. If I do it or not, if it works for you, you're making muscle. The other thing to take note when you're counting your protein, the 1 gram per pound of body weight, is there are some extreme cases where when people are really like underweight, like if you weigh 100 pounds and you're a male and you're tall and you're just really skinny, you might want to bump that up from the beginning. And if you're heavily overweight, say you're 400 pounds and you don't have that much muscle on you, you don't need 400 grams of protein. If you can eat it, I guarantee you will lose weight more efficiently, having more protein rather than fats or carbs in your diet. But it's not necessarily for putting on muscle. So if it's too hard to eat 400 grams of protein, if it's a lot of protein, then bump that down to something that's a little bit more appropriate, what you would guess your lean body mass would be, and then use that number. It's an estimate. Again, doesn't matter, you kind of play with things as they go. If you're really overweight, losing weight, all that really matters is that your calories are below what your basal metabolic rate is. All right, next question is what type of food to eat? Cheat meals, clean bulk, or dirty bulk? Rule of thumb for this, in my absolute belief, is whole foods are the most important thing. Something that grows from the earth, something that cavemen could eat, anything like that. Single ingredient foods are your best bet. This is because, it's just normal food. Much easier for your body to digest. The more food you can digest and the nutrients you can actually absorb from it, the less you actually need to eat to get the same benefit out of it. The less you have to digest, better your stomach feels, the more you can eat. It's all just like a feedback loop to making more gains, essentially. And even eating bad food causes inflammation in the gut, which slows everything down, slows your bulk down, your muscle gain down, causes inflammation in your joints, can start hurting you when you're in the gym, training. There's a cascade of effects that can come from that. Not to mention that it's just not as healthy for you. So yes, we're trying to put on muscle, but the healthiest way to do it is often also the best way to do it. So make sure you're actually focusing on eating clean whole foods and not just going after like a nasty dirty bowl. People always ask about cheat meals. Why can I have cheat meal? I want a cheat meal. What's the point of cheat meals? All these things. And over the last like 4 or 5 years of my preps, I didn't get any cheat meals. And that was because of what I was talking about before. I didn't want that like gut digestion messed up. I didn't want the inflammation from it. I didn't want to ruin my sleep that night because I was full of all this shit and have my joints hurting the next day. Everything I was doing was so calculated to be the best that I was like, I could have a cheat meal calorically and not get too fat, but it's gonna have this other, effects on my recovery, my digestion, that's just not worth it right now. So I didn't have those ever when I was in prep. In my off season, I like to live a little bit. I still eat really healthy though. Like if I go get a burger, sometimes I get a lettuce wrap, no cheese, because I know it's gonna mess with my stomach, and I make sure I stick with that. But again, it kind of depends on what your goals are. The only point of having a cheat meal is pretty much for your mental sake. If you need like a little bit of like stress relief or a break from it, and if that's gonna help you, then absolutely it's worth it. Even if you're a professional bodybuilder and it's gonna benefit your mind and calm you down and give you a nice like cortisol brief to eat a cheat meal, then go for it. It's not the end of the world. But as me trying to be the best in the world, I wasn't gonna do that shit. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna fill up on good food, food I know I can digest, just eat more of that, still sleep good, digest good, and be better for it. But that like 0.01% change it's gonna make doesn't matter to most people. And even now, as a retired bodybuilder, I'd be less strict on doing something like that myself. So why would you clean bulk versus dirty bulk? I would say people with dirty bulk are just people who don't understand the in-depth like minutia of how important every little thing is to your body. So I just think it's just kind of the easy way up. If I need to get some calories in, I'm gonna throw some shitty food down. It's also like a Band-Aid, the short-term solution for a long-term goal that you have. You just do that for a year, 2 years, even 5 years, from 20 to 25, maybe you'll get away with it if you're lucky, but it will start to catch up on you. So I just don't even recommend dirty bulking. Throw in your cheat meals if you really want them and need them, but clean bulking is the way to go. We're not just trying to get jacked. You want to take care of your body. And when you build that healthy relationship with food, that you're nourishing your body, you're fueling your body, you're putting good food in your body because you care about your body, it also makes it easier to diet because then you're not craving shitty foods when you're dieting, because food isn't just like a obsessive, I can have it now or can't have it now. It's actually something that you appreciate and you're putting good things in your body. And when I switched that mindset of eating for health rather than just like restricting now or eating as much as I can now, and I was like, no, I'm putting good food to take care of my body. When I started prepping, I didn't even crave shitty food anymore. I was like, I want a little more rice and chicken, but like, it is what it is, I'm dieting. And it made it much easier for me, just a little mindset switch. As I said, it's so case dependent and bulking. Like when I was a 21-year-old, trying to put on as much muscle as possible, I remember putting on like 20 or 30 pounds one off season, probably more than that. And I was like 270 plus pounds. Midday, I was like 275-ish, and I dieted down to 220, and I was like eating shitty food, messing up my digestion, didn't care because I was 21 years old and was just pushing things. And that variance made it really hard for me. So I stopped doing that. So this is kind of again back to when you should stop bulking. If you're a bodybuilder, you really only need to go like 10% over your weight. So I started being 20 pounds over my competing weight, which made it much easier for me to come back and down and make that weight and not stress my body out too much. It made my bulking way more efficient. But I'd also been doing that for a decade. So when you're at the beginning of your career, things are different. And this is why I always say, don't just listen to what I say, kind of just take knowledge in and try things out for yourself and see what works best for you at this point in your journey. Because what works for me won't necessarily work for you. When I was young, I could dirty bulk, do all this things. Same with you guys when you're young, you can get away with these things. When I had to eat almost 7,000 calories sometimes, I threw in some dirty food because at the end of the day, I just couldn't eat another bowl of chicken rice. I was just over it. So I'd have a protein shake, peanut butter and jelly, go to bed, and just, it is what it is. But now that I'm 30 years old and I'm a little older, my turn time is good, digestion is good, everything is clean food, and you gotta be a little bit more strict. But luckily, because I had more muscle mass on me, I didn't have to eat as much food. So I was actually eating way more food when I was younger than I am now because I've already built such a good base. So there's always something different going on in your journey. Just grab the basics, top of the knowledge that I'm giving you right now. Start with this, track it, pay attention to how your body responds, and then adapt accordingly because that's the only thing that's gonna make you successful. Understanding your body and being able to adapt. All right, so next question, we're in my personal supplement shop here, best supplements for bulking. Number one, gotta be creatine. If you're trying to put on muscle, creatine is the best muscle ever. It's good for your brain, good for energy, it's good for repair, it's good for putting on muscle. It's the most studied sports nutrition supplement ever. If you're not taking it, you're falling behind. There's so many other supplements that help build muscle, but specific to bulking and trying to bulk hard, number one thing I would say is digestion. I have a pretty good array of digestive supplements that you use at different times. One specifically is a glucose supplement, a GDA, glucose disposal agent, typically chromium, berberine, and a few other things in there that help. And this just helps your body actually utilize all the carbs that you're taking. I never took insulin as a bodybuilder. Some people dabble in that. And it's such an anabolic hormone because it allows your body to use more food and shuttle it into your muscle. So there's no more natural supplements to take. Like I said, Honey makes one called Evolog that has digestive enzymes and a bunch of GDAs in it. Revive has one called Glucose. That's a stronger version of just the GDAs. Super helpful. You just take them with every single meal. Super easy to take. Other than that, like I said, the digestive enzymes as well as betaine HCl. This bad boy right here. A lot of people don't have the proper stomach acidity for them to digest food, especially a lot of protein. When you're bulking like a bodybuilder, you're eating a lot of protein. So taking a supplement that helps like aid your gut essentially, so it doesn't have to work so hard itself, is super beneficial because the average person should not and does not need to be eating 5,000 plus calories a day. So you want to give your body as much assistance as possible to make sure, like I said, you're absorbing those nutrients, you're actually using them, and you're able to pass that food through you so you don't get bloated, you can't eat your next meal, and then you just start falling behind. So digestion is absolutely key, creatine, and anything that helps you uptake carbs. Other than that, of course, post-workout shake, protein powder. It's like the most basic supplement in the world, but it's so helpful. Do you need it? Absolutely not. Can you get away without it? You're damn good if you can, because I've always needed it, both through prep or in off season. And I still really believe that a post-workout shake is extremely important. I like to get my EAs mid-workout still, and then right after my workout, or at least soon, getting in like 50, 75 grams of carbs with 50 grams of protein. And I take that all in powder form. It's just super easy to get down. I can eat again an hour later. And I know people are like, oh, the anabolic window doesn't matter or whatnot. Maybe it doesn't. It probably doesn't if you're getting all your food in, but if it makes me 0.5% better or 0.1% better, I'm going to do it. I'm a professional bodybuilder and I want to take everything I can. And it's not that hard to drink a protein shake after you work out. And to be able to get that protein in, it starts your anabolism immediately. Your body's not breaking down tissue anymore, you're rebuilding it. Your recovery gets in immediately. Your cortisol drops because your body's starting to get into a rest and digest phase, which actually also helps your recovery. And the quicker you get in, the quicker you can eat a meal after that and then go to bed earlier to get good sleep. So all super important things to help your gains and some benefits of supplements. All right, so gym questions. People are always asking how to train in a cut versus a bulk and all these things. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much if you're training really hard and progressively overloading on proper periodization. Following my app and you're doing all the stuff you already know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. But if you take a look at what's going on when you're on a bulk, if you have a little bit more fluid in your body, therefore in your joints. You have more energy, you're recovering a little bit faster, a little bit easier. There's more nutrients to uptake. And a lot of people think lift really heavy in this phase. And yes, you should lift really heavy. But the thing you can actually get away with more so is doing more volume, more intensifiers, just a higher level of hypertrophy. So training in a bulk with a lot of food, even on refeed days or whatever, you want to up your volume and intensifiers on those days. So things like double, triple sets, drop sets, rest pauses, all those kind of things are what you want to do in a bulk, because your body can actually handle that much stimulus and recover from it, and you have enough nutrients in your body to push that much volume for a longer workout. It's kind of a different thinking than you might think. When you're eating more, you want to do more weight, but you actually want to just still be heavy as possible, but more volume, more intensifiers, and it'll get more gains to use all that food. Like I said, there's no like optimal perfect way to do it, but that's the way I would do it. And to give an example of the way that my year used to look like with training, is I would take some time off, which I would be in right now post-Olympia if I were competing again, give my body a break to kind of recover, get back into it, and then I would start rebuilding my strength for a little bit, as food still low, not too high, and as my food ramped up, I would try and have my strength already back by then, and then I would start doing a crazy amount of volume with that base of strength. So get a little bit strong at the beginning of your off season, then my food gets really high, use that strength, keeping the weights the same, but then you start adding rest pauses, drop sets, supersets, all the kind of crazy shit of just like killing the muscle. Pushing some more sets past failure, training with a training partner, all those things that would stress your nervous system a little bit more, but are easier to recover when you have more food in you. So that's the way I would get to it. And right at the end of my off season, when I'd be like peak volume, peak hypertrophy, just like hammering my body, and then when my calories would start to drop, I would actually start increasing the weight a little bit, because my volume would naturally have to come down a bit because I don't have as much energy, glycogen stores in my muscle. Gotta drop the volume a little bit, but I keep the weight as high as possible, because a stronger muscle is often bigger muscle. So if you already have the size to your muscle, maintaining strength will maintain the muscle, especially with low calories. So sometimes the reverse of what you think, but it's what I did in the last, like pretty much my whole career. And it really helped me get strong, make gains, and hold those gains throughout my prep. All right, next question, should you do cardio on a bulk? Like I said, everything is person specific, but if I had to give an overarching answer, it would be yes. For many reasons, especially as a bodybuilder, the bigger you get, you want to take care of your heart. Obviously, cardio is a way to have the best heart health. So keeping up with that is super important, but also not caring about your health. If your goal is just to eat more, cardio helps you eat more. The amount of calories you're gonna burn from doing 20 to 30 minutes of cardio is nowhere near what you can eat. You can have a bite of a sandwich and overcome the amount of calories you do in 20 minutes of cardio. So it's really nothing to be afraid of. A lot of people are like, I'm trying to get huge, I don't wanna do cardio because I don't wanna sacrifice gains. That's complete bullshit. Unless you're running marathons, biking 2 hours fasted, or doing anything, you're not gonna be losing any muscle. There's a few tips that you can do, like if you are doing fasted cardio because you love doing it in the morning, I would 100% recommend taking an amino before that, just so you're not burning through muscle. Your body at least kicks in protein synthesis, at least get 3 grams of leucine, 2 scoops of EAs or something, and you're good to go. Also, one of the easiest things to do, and this is the Stan Efferding thing he used to always talk about on his diet, is doing a 10-15 minute walk after every single meal that you eat. You're not gonna burn through the food that you ate. I promise you're not even gonna be close to it. But what it is gonna do, get your digestion going, lower your blood sugar, help your insulin a little bit, allow your body to actually utilize those nutrients that you put in your body, and then eat quicker in your next meal. Like sometimes you eat a lot and you just wanna lie there and you feel like crap, like after Thanksgiving you just wanna pass out. But if you actually go for a walk, your body will start moving that food through you quicker, and then you can eat again quicker. It's gonna help your insulin levels, which will help your body uptake the food better. So there's a lot of benefits that come into it. So cardio, good for your heart. It's actually gonna help you eat more, and it just helps move the food through you. So I 100% recommend cardio on a bulk. I wasn't always the best at keeping up with this, if I'm being completely honest, but I did notice to a T, in the years where I didn't do cardio, but I ate as much as I could, my appetite wasn't as good, and I put on fat quicker. Not muscle, but fat. When I was doing a good amount of cardio, I could eat more, I felt better, and my body was utilizing it for muscle better than it was at adding fat. So I just noticed a different body composition when my body was doing, when I was choosing to do cardio in my off season. So in the end, when I was doing it all the time, I felt way better, and I absolutely recommend it to everyone, whether you're skinny, fat, whatever. If you're skinny as fuck, do less cardio. If you're fat, do more. Don't overthink it, but focus on your heart. All right, so another question I always get asked is around how fast should you gain weight? How do you know if you're gaining too fast or too slow? And again, everything is so person dependent. It's so hard for me to even answer these, but I'm trying to give you guys something to go off of. So take what I say and apply it to yourself in real life and adapt it. But I would say in the range of 0.2 to 2 pounds a week is like good. It's great for gaining muscle. Again, that could be from a beginner to someone who's advanced. So when I was young and I was like 18 years old training, I could probably put 2 pounds of muscle on if I really bulked and trained hard and went efficient, and it was incredible. It was amazing. And now over the last 4 years, I've maybe put on 4 pounds of muscle doing what I've been doing, and I've been struggling to do that. And that's me guessing, because I'm always a little bit leaner and not as lean, so it's like my stage weight is variable, but it's really hard. So it really comes down to a lot of different things, but I think what's super important is having a high standard of which you hold yourself to. So your norm of how you look, you should be proud of how you look. You're working out to feel good, to look good, to be good. So you want to be happy with how you look. So if you start from a leaner spot and you bulk and you don't want to change too much from that, you're not going to be too fat, obviously, versus if you start from a fatter spot, you get a little more fat, you're more fat than that. So having that norm, that high standard to which you hold yourself to, now you're proud of how you look, is super important when it comes to these things. It's hard to manage tracking body fat with clips or BMIs or all these things. So if you're taking constant check-in pictures of yourself, put your weight beside it, the amount of food you're eating with that, and you're following along those things and you're seeing how your body's adapting, you're much better off than just like guessing what's going on. And obviously gaining weight, there's so many variables it could be. When you first start bulking, you know, your glycogen stores are filling up, you're holding on to more water, carbs make you hold on to more water, creatine sometimes can, but then it typically levels out, so don't stress about that, I don't want to say that. But there's so many different things that can make you hold on to weight that aren't just fat or muscle. Well, water, fat, or muscle are the main top 3 that it's going to be. So you really need to be careful of what the difference is. If you bulk for a year and you put on 20 pounds and then you diet down and you lose 19, for the average person, that's not a very good bulk. If you're like an elite bodybuilder, then you're doing all right. For the average person, you probably didn't need to put that 20 pounds on to gain 1 pound of muscle. So try and like just even that ratio out. Again, I hate giving numbers, but if you're putting on 10% in a year, you're doing pretty good for yourself, depending on the level at which you're at. Just keep watching yourself. Don't let yourself get too fat. Be happy with how you look. Monitor your breathing, your heart rate. All these different things are super important. How you feel, how you look, end up going to the final result. So it's all important. All right, next thing is how long should I bulk for? Minimum time to put on muscle. If you put on muscle, you put it on muscle. But there is the longer period of time you're holding it, the less likely you are to lose it when you cut really hard. So that's something to take into account. If you bulk for 2 months and then you cut really hard, you're probably going to lose a good amount of that muscle. Versus if you're someone who's been holding onto that muscle for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or a 6 month versus a 2 month bulk, you're more likely to hold on to it. So just take that into consideration. I personally liked a longer bulk because I didn't feel like I had to force it as hard and have to put a bunch of food in really fast. I could slowly taper up 250, 300, 400 calories at a time. As my body would plateau, I would just add a little bit more food, and my body wouldn't put on fat as quick. The slower the change you make, the more likely you are to put on good weight rather than just fat. So understand that, take your time. The longer you hold it, the longer your body's going to maintain it. Also, again, it's super important to be specific on what your goals are and definitely not goal hop around. If you're like, oh, I want to bulk, and you bulk a little bit and your abs are a little less shredded, I want to cut, and you start cutting a bit and like, I want to be bigger, and you start flip-flopping back and forth, you're going to make zero progress and there's no point in doing that. So start something and commit to it and understand what your goals are. If your goals are to put on muscle, but you hate when you lose your abs, then do a really slow, long bulk, very slow increase of calories. Make sure your abs are staying there. Stick to training your abs, stick to doing your cardio, eating good food, no inflammation. You won't hold on as much water. You won't look as chubby. You will feel better. All these different things. If all you want to do is put on as much muscle as fast as possible, you don't give a shit, that's the type of person who pushes it a little bit faster for a little bit longer. So you kind of got to figure out what your goals are and tailor your work towards your goal. All right, last question, and another big one, crucial one. I've been here. What if I can't eat enough? And how to increase my appetite. Can't is a very strong word. Whenever I meet someone and they come up to me, and often at expos, they're like 170 pounds, they're like, I can't put on muscle, I can't eat enough. I'm like, you're lying. Eat more, train harder, and just do it. It's always a possibility. If you really can't put food down and you're skinny, there's probably a reason why. Your cortisol is too high, your recovery isn't good enough. You need to sleep better, you need to slow down, you need to eat better foods, you need to check your gut. There's a reason why. People aren't just, that word hard gainer, people are harder than gaining than others, but there's no hard gainer who can't eat and gain weight. It's complete bullshit. You just have to do it, and it takes a long period of time. So the biggest thing is, I think, honestly, is like I mentioned, the cortisol, sleep, recovery. If all that stuff is on point, your body can take in food. There's people you hear about stress eating and people who there's no term for it, but people when they get stressed, they forget to eat all day. A week will go by and they eat 1 meal a day maybe just because they're so stressed out all the time. When your body's in a fight or flight state, cortisol is running through your body, it's not ready to rest and digest. That's why people say rest and digest. You're in a fight or flight, high cortisol, your body's not ready to digest food, it's not ready to take in food. So it's super important to eat in a calm state, to be in a relaxed state as often as possible, to get your sleep in. Sleep and rest and low cortisol is like the secret to bodybuilding. My ability to lower my stress at times when I was in prep, literally won me Olympias. It's so crucial and it comes in so importantly into bulking as well. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing, especially post-workout. When you're training, you're at a high level of stress, which is important. You're putting your body through a stimulus. And the quicker you can switch your body from fight and flight into rest and digest, the better you're doing. So after a workout, if you can meditate, chill, get your protein in, with some vibing music on the way home, don't just get on your phone, go back to work, stress yourself out with some stuff, just calm your nervous system. You'll be recovering better and you'll be able to eat and absorb more nutrients after that workout. Super important. On top of that, just a little trick that everyone knows to do, smoothies. If you're eating your meals throughout the day, understand your meals that you can get. Nutrient timing is so important. Pairing that with smoothies, it's the secret. If you figure out your body's nutrient timing of when it can absorb certain foods, certain meals in the best way, you're gonna crush it. Me, I like having low carbs in the morning because my entire appetite for the rest of the day is bigger. A lot of times I used to think, I need a 1,500 calorie breakfast to get these calories in so I don't need as much later in the day. But then I can't eat my meals later in the day and I screw myself. But if you have a high fat, low carb breakfast, your insulin levels are actually more consistent throughout the day rather than spiking and dropping and peaks and valleys throughout the day. So it's a lot healthier for your body and easier to eat your meals later on in the day. So high fat, whole food, high protein breakfast. Start getting your carbs in around your workout. Bulk of your carbs would be pre and post workout. I could handle them pre and didn't make me tired, so it was completely fine. And then some points in the day, have a massive smoothie. I liked having mine later in the day. If it didn't fill my stomach up too much before sleeping, you throw in some intra-workout carbs, some protein powder, some whole eggs for some real nutrients, some oats if you want, some peanut butter, almond butter, whatever you want to throw in there, whatever your body digests great. Blend it all up, drink it before bed. You can get in easily 1,200 calories in a shake. And you don't need to get mass gainers and stuff like that because they'll just fuck your stomach up. Unless you can handle it, good for you, but I never could. So digest, or a smooth, blend a bunch of shit up, drink a smoothie, digest it good, go to sleep, and get huge. So another big thing on that. Increasing your appetite, low cortisol, nutrient timing, big smoothies. Big 3. All right, so that's the bulk of these questions. I'm sure I rambled on a heavy amount. If you guys have any more questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'll add them to the next Q&A that we do. But yeah, these are the biggest tips and tricks I can say that I've done. I've gone through many different phases of my career, bulking really hard and not bulking really hard. And again, I listened to so much knowledge over my career. I took in so much stuff and I tried so many things. The only thing that stuck were what worked for me. You have to flow with things. You have to treat bodybuilding like the art it is and understand that there's so many nuances to it that it's dependent on each specific person and only you can figure that out for yourself because only you know yourself. So trial and error, pay attention, track things, what isn't measured, isn't managed, lock it all in and get fucking huge. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.